What's up, YouTube? This is Elder Stacy Zanders coming to you with another video. But before we get into the video, let me just say subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the like button for the video and hit that notification bell so you can be updated every time we release new content. We've been talking about this series about racism. Someone from the United Kingdom has sent me a message and said, can I create some content talking about racism? So we just want to go just a little bit deeper. This is video number 3 into racism. We dealt with the 4 levels of racism. Then we talked about how or when do we learn about race. But in this video here, I want to talk about understanding inequity through data. We're just going to talk a few minutes, kind of lay some groundwork here, but we want to read a quote from Cathy O'Neil. She is a data scientist and author of Weapons of Math, M-A-T-H, Destruction. And it says here, data is the opposite of neutral. It's dynamic and explosive, and it exposes facts that we might not want to look at. Let me say that last sentence again. It said it exposes facts that we might not want to look at. Listen, sometimes we don't like to look at the numbers, and sometimes people don't like to be reminded of how they treat other peoples in the land in which they live. They want everything to be status quo, to go on as normal, and don't tell me that I'm wrong. See, let me tell you something. Truth does not need error to stand. Truth stands all by itself. Sometimes it's hard and difficult for people to look at truth in the face because the reality is the reality, and sometimes we don't want to have to deal with it, but it's better to look it in the face and then make the corrective changes so that life for everyone can get better. But when you live in error needs truth to remain silent so that it can be right. So we have to continue to expose error so it can't live a lie, a fallacy, a falsehood. See, people who want error, they want you to have truth to keep your mouth shut. Don't speak up about what I'm doing as wrong so that I can continue to believe that I'm right. True, right is right, wrong is wrong every day of the week. But we want to talk about today. We want to look at and incorporate hard data to learn how race, ethnicity, income, and other factors impact a person's housing, health, education, financial stability, and more. In today's world, data is one of the most important resources for understanding and solving problems. This aggregated data, or data broken down into subcategories like race, age, gender, can play an important role in uncovering inequities by making comparisons between groups based on important outcomes. When making these comparisons, it is important to keep in mind that institutional and structural policies and practices that create these disparities in the first place. For example, in southeastern Michigan, nearly 40% of the households struggle to meet their basic needs like food, housing, childcare, healthcare, and transportation. The United Way Alliance, the Asset Limited Income Constrained Employment Report, reveals the financial hardships of these families and shows that even when adults in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties are working, they are often not making enough to cover crucial expenses that create a stable life for their family. This financial hardship is particularly acute in Black households, where in Michigan, over 60% are unable to afford basic household essentials. This is a clear demonstration of the inequities that are deeply rooted in our national, state, and local systems and institutions. This stuff is a bedrock. It's institutionalized. It was put in, and many people think that the system just created itself. No, it did not. This was created, it's institutionalized, it's built in the foundation, it's built in the infrastructure of this company to disenfranchise certain races of people, except for those that are white. All right. I don't know if you ever read this book, but I'm I read a book's very, very excellent read called The Color of Law, A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America by Richard Rothenstein. It's a very, I don't know if you can see this book here, but it is The Color of Law. You need to get that book, take a look at it, and see how that segregation, racism, this is institutionalized. It was built in the framework of the United States of America. We all know that this nation was built on the back of slaves, and white America benefited from the labor that took place back in those times. And then you have the Jim Crow laws, and that continued that segregation and that racism that has continued. And we see a spike in today where it is trying to lift its ugly head back up. They're trying to strip away history from the history books, to whitewash history in America, to take black people out of the context. Listen, Christopher Columbus did not discover the United States of America. How can you discover a land when there were people here when you got here? Long before Christopher Columbus, there was African Americans, people from Africa traveling over to the United States of America. It was a black man that navigated Christopher Columbus from those European shores over to the United States of America, but we are washed out of the history. And that is the problem. That's why Public Enemy said his, H-I-S, story. That's where the history come from. But I think history need to be taught. The good, the bad, the ugly. It all need to be put out there. No matter what it may be. And someone had asked me the question about, do I think they should take down the Confederate statues and things of that nature? And I said no. I live here down in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and they want to take on Stone Mountain, take those Confederate leaders off the side of the mountain. I don't agree with it. I think it's a part of the history of this country. And what I can do, what I see the benefit in it, is that as I take my children and my grandchildren and maybe my great-grandchildren and to see these monuments, I can discuss with them the history of the land in which they live, not to put anyone down. History is history. No person living today had anything to do with slavery yesterday. Now, if you want to put it on them from their bloodline, oh, I can understand all of that. But people living today should not be held accountable for the sins that their fathers committed yesterday. But the Bible is true when it says that the sins of the father is passed down even to the third and the fourth generation. There's still people today are still living based upon the sins of their forefathers. They're still trying to live those issues down today. But there's some people who just simply don't want to let it go. It is a part of history, and I think that's where it needs to remain. And history need to be taught, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. And we need to always remember to give honor to whom honor is due. But when you look at hardcore data, the numbers, the facts do not lie. Your feelings don't matter. Facts are facts. Facts is what matter. And these are just simply the facts. So what we have to do is, whether you're in the United States or around the world, own up to what you've done. We've done it as a race of people, whether you're black or white, whatever it may be, and let's make the changes. That's what's important. Let's start today. Let's move forward. Let's bring awareness and not go at it. Have the conversation. There's nothing wrong with having the conversation and then making the appropriate changes without going off the deep end. All right? So we're going to start looking into it, get into some hard data about this. But this understanding inequity through data is going to be very, very important for you to learn about and look at. And we're going to be getting some hard numbers for you to take a look at this. All right. So until next time, remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're trying to enrich your life through things that will help you tremendously. Remember, until the next video, as always, God bless.